Anybody remember where this music was used in one of our BTS videos? Anybody? Every time I hear this music, I'm reminded of the BTS video that we shot at LAX. Anybody? Anybody remember this music? All right. Hello, everyone. I am Plane Jockey Kevin. Welcome back to the world headquarters of Airline Videos live here in Los Angeles, California. I hope you guys are all doing well. Haven't seen since Sunday, the big Sunday show there at an Imperial Hill. It was good to get out and hang out with all of you there at the Hill. Boy, a lot of you stopping by, saying hello all day long. Of course, I was the brand ambassador throughout the course of the day while Rudy ran the camera, doing a great job as well. And of course, sadly, that was going to continue where I will not be able to run the camera probably for at least a month or so. We're getting there day by day, day by day. We'll get back to normal. All right. So as you can see, my arm, which is hanging right here, is not in a sling today. And that doesn't mean that everything is 100% better. So technically, when they did the surgery on my arm, they said that I would not have to wear a sling if I'm inside and not out in the public. And that is the reason why you don't see a sling on me here today. So slowly but surely improving, getting a little bit more mobility in my arm, but it still hurts as heck. Heck, I've got a Swiss cheese plate and a bunch of screws in my arm. So it's going to take a while for things to get back to normal. All right. Are we all here? Can you see me? I feel like the chat... Okay. Hello, everyone. All right. Thanks for joining me here today. I feel like we're going to do 2 of these a week until things get back to normal. Why not? I love to sit here and chat with you guys. Today is not really a Q&A, though if you have any questions, I'll certainly find an answer for you. I will try. I have been working hard to kind of maybe do a little show and tell and obviously talk about aviation as well. Lots going on in the world of aviation. But before we start that, I wanted to give a shout out to our legend Jane. Legend Jane, you know, she's been sending all these lovely models to plane jockeys, spoiling us. Well, one of my favorite movies of all time. In fact, I watched this movie every single time. I had it on my iPad back in the day, not this iPad, but another iPad when I was traveling to Europe and South America back in 2010 and 2011. There was one movie I had on my iPad. No matter where I was going, didn't matter how long the trip was, because all I would do is hit repeat. There was one movie I would watch because it would relax me and make me laugh there on the plane. What movie was that, Kevin? Bridesmaids. Bridesmaids. I love Kristen Wiig, Maya Rudolph. Of course, there was a lot of new actresses in that movie as well that turned out to be big time after that as well. I don't know, there was something about that movie that just made me laugh, and I can still watch that movie over and over and over and over and over and over again. Well, I must have mentioned it at some point. I'm sure I do, because I tend to repeat myself over and over and over again. Well, your legend Jane, our legend Jane, took it upon herself to find a prop from that movie and send it to Plane Jockey Kevin. It's sitting here right next to me. I'm going to do my best to try to hold it up. It's going to be a little hard with my arm. But basically, this is a certificate right here saying that, and I'll try to get this in the camera best I can. What does it read? This is to certify that this item, Lillian's Maya Rudolph gift box, has been inspected and is guaranteed to be the original as described for the production of Bridesmaids in 2011. That's right. right, I have a piece of Hollywood history now here in the AVL Museum. Certified. Now, the scene, if you remember, a lot of people, when I say I have the gift box, they think it's the gift box with the butterfly flying out. No, this was the scene where it was toward the end of the movie, and Christian Wiig's character gives Maya Rudolph the box full of childhood memories as a wedding gift, if you guys remember that. Remember that? And then it all went downhill right after that scene. All right. I don't want to drop this. Of course, I only have mobility with my left arm here. So I will do my best. Here it is. That is the present. Can you believe that? It is locked up in a case, and I'm not taking it out. That, I feel, should be in a museum. And of course, it will be right here in the AVL Museum here in Los Angeles. Well, you know, we're in Hollywood. Might as well have the Hollywood props here as well. So, Legend Jane, thank you so much. That is amazing. I cannot believe that present would be sitting there next to me after watching the movie for so many years. So, Legend Jane, thank you so much. Amazing. If you haven't seen the movie, you got to go watch it. I have been longing for a part 2 for that for the longest time, and I don't think it's ever going to happen. I mean, that came out in 2011, so long past due. But, Christian, Maya, if you're watching, rethink that. Bring it back. We need Bridesmaids too. All right. All right. We've got a lot to go over here today. Gengar J with the $5 super chat. Thanks so much, Gengar. This is other than the holy moly Lufthansa, a chase and people running around the taxi. What's the craziest thing you've caught at LAX or any other place? Oh, jeez. Well, I think we were talking about this last night. It's the Yankee Tangy going to the north side when 24 left was closed down. Yankee Tangy taking off on 24 right in front of our cameras. That certainly was a OMG moment. That was quite the scene. Now, you're probably thinking in terms of craziness. There really hasn't been anything crazy at LAX in terms of dangerous. But the only dangerous thing besides the holy moly event, which actually didn't cause any damage to the plane, thankfully, was a Delta 737-900 that arrived on 24 right and actually blew 2 of its tires. We actually didn't get the blowout on camera, but we heard it that day. We were at the Westchester Bridge location. Thankfully, nothing serious on that plane as well. But in terms of craziness, that's probably what you're asking. Nothing too much. Nothing too much. So, all right. So we have a lot to get to here today. I am trying to do my best to, instead of just sitting here and just stare at the camera and say, well, what are we going to talk about now? I'm trying to come up with some filler. So, we all know big news out of Southwest Airlines actually last week, unveiling their new interiors, which will be put in place on almost 800 of their aircraft. Did you guys look at this? How beautiful. Of course, this is on a 737 MAX 8. Those new seats that you see are with the new light blue 3 to 5 inches extra. Of course, this will be extra. You'll be paying extra for this. Not to mention, you will be able to reserve your seat now, which is extremely nice. That actually might get your plane jockey Kevin to actually fly Southwest again. Of course, comes back on the back of the seats as well. The fold-down tray tables, room for your iPad, your iPhone, as well as USB-C and A ports to charge all your devices as well, which is a great thing, as we all know, on a plane. So the interior is very nice. Of course, you know I love blue. And of course, more overhead space as well. So it's going to take a while to get all this on all their aircraft there with Southwest. You know, they have a large fleet, just over 800 aircraft. What do you guys think? Is this a good upgrade? I think it looks nice. Of course, we have a couple of rows of Southwest 737-700 seats in our new studio, which is still being developed. But it's so amazing how these new seats look really, really nice compared to the other seats. And I'm not to say the seats that we have are not comfortable, but my gosh, looking good. And of course, they have a new wardrobe as well for the flight attendants. And I noticed the other day, and I mentioned this, that they have a color palette, right? Red, blue, and yellow. Yellow seems to be missing in the palette of the flight attendants' uniforms. So we'll have to wait and see. What do you guys think? Good upgrade? Nah, not enough. Of course, they'll be adding red-eye flights in February out of LAX as well. So a lot going on at Southwest Airlines. I say, why not? It's looking good, especially when you can now pick your own seats. I think that is a major, major plus. And those seats looks really, really nice. I don't know what the price tag is going to be on the extra 3 to 5 inches of leg space. But like I said, it's going to take a while to put that in on most of their planes. Of course, that was on a 737 MAX 8 that was revealed last week. So we'll wait and see. Let me know what you think. What do you think? Yes? No? That didn't need to be changed. Everything's completely fine at Southwest as it is. DAL Virtual with a $5 super chat. Thanks so much, DAL Virtual. Says, good to see you back and getting better, Kevin. Continued healing. We love the 24 live stream. Oh, the 24-hour live stream. Oh, yes. Rocking and rolling for almost 10 days straight now. A lot of you guys are tuning in. Almost 200,000 views on that 24/7 live feed. And of course, you can find it right here on Airline Videos Live. It's right here on the main channel. So check it out. It's good to have in the background. I tell you, I have it on the background as I sleep, and I think I sleep a lot better. A lot better. But of course, this morning, boy, the fog came rolling in. You couldn't even see the airports. Now the sunshine is out, so it's turned into a beautiful day. So it should be some good plane spotting action on our 24/7 live feed exclusively right here on Airline Videos Live. All right. You guys love it? Linda says she loves it. And we're talking about the Southwest interior. Samil says loves it. Rose F says looks great. Wayno says, I haven't flown Southwest in 15 years because of the unassigned seats. Can't wait to try it again. I'm with you on that one. I love my assigned seats. Now that this will be put in place, obviously, at the beginning of next year, sign me up. Sign me up. Christina says, yes, love it, Kevin. CPA 919 says, open to flying them again. See, I think there's a lot of people out there that were not flying Southwest because of the open seating. A lot of people love the open seating. I, for one, am never that lucky. I'm not a lucky person. So my luck is I show up, I'm going to be sitting in the back of the plane in the middle seat, which we did when we flew Southwest. The last time we flew Southwest was, and I'm going to actually show you a video from the day I'm talking about, New Pacific, North Pacific, that inaugural video that we shot from Ontario to Vegas. We actually had to fly Southwest back that day because they weren't flying back to Ontario, so we had to fly Southwest. And I don't know if we checked in late or we just did something late, which ended up Rudy and I think he sat in the middle of the plane in the middle seat. I got the very last seat in the back of the plane in the middle. I was so uncomfortable. Thankfully, that was less than 40-minute flight. But no, thank you. No, thank you. I I'm the type of person that at least wants to figure out where I'm going to be sitting on the plane before I show up at the airport. I'm already hectic enough with everything. I don't need to be worried about where I'm going to be seating, right? All right. A lot of you guys are saying congratulations on 800,000 subscribers here on the channel. We hit 801,000, I think in the 4 o'clock hour on Sunday. I didn't think we were gonna hit it, but we did. And I think we're at 800,000, I think 200 now. So we're well on our way to 900,000. And of course, 1 million. I don't know when that's gonna happen, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. No rush, right? No rush. All right. Alvanor0293 with a $5 super chat. Thanks so much, Alvanor. Says tough choice between the new Southwest 737 interiors and the United 757-300 to Chicago. As much, Alvanor, as I love the 757, those aircraft, anything that was delivered in the late 90s, early 2000s is starting to show its age. You can replace the seats. The one thing that a lot of airlines do not replace, if you notice, and I noticed this on some United planes we've flown, especially the 777s, the paneling on a lot of the interior of the aircraft is not getting replaced. And it's got that like 90s off-white color, if you know what I mean. I just feel like I flew a lot in the 90s, and I feel like when I hop on one of these planes that was delivered in the late 90s, early 2000s, I feel like I'm going back in the time. So I'll say, and of course, 737 is not my favorite aircraft either, but I think at this point I'd rather take a newer Southwest 737 with assigned seating over a United 757. I know. Especially Chip, 757, don't get on my case. I'm just saying some of these aircraft, the interiors, they're just starting to show their age a little bit. All right. What else we got planned here today? So, a lot of you guys I have talked about. I had a website back in the day. Back in the day, before I had a YouTube channel, long before YouTube, this would have been 1999, 2000, I had a website. Now, I was shooting photos in Phoenix, I think it was 1999, so it would have been the same year. It would have been the same year. I also am going to show you a video from 1994, so it would have been at least a couple of years before I started shooting photos. Anyway, I'm not going to show you everything in this booklet, but that is what the website looked like. I created this little portfolio back in the day. Kevin's Airline Photos. Kevin's Airline Photos in Phoenix, Arizona. You could literally log in. It's no longer around. But anyway, there are photos galore in here. Of course, they're all prints. Prints that you would take to Walgreens. Well, I took them to Walgreens. A lot of people would not take their prints to Walgreens. I took them to Walgreens. A lot of prints in here. I think I'm going to have to scan a lot more of these, but I wanted to show you, I can roll a video of some of the highlights of what is in this as well. I think a lot of you guys would be a little interested in some of the photos I took back in the day. So again, this would have been 1999 when I first started getting into still photography, plane spotting. Of course, Phoenix Suns, America West. This was a 737-100, a 100, decked out in the Phoenix Suns. They would fly the Phoenix Suns around in that 737-100. Access to Phoenix Sky Harbor was a little bit different before 9/11. Obviously, you could get a little bit closer, grab some shots like this that you technically can't even get it anymore. A lot of construction is around as well. That was a bunch of planes lining up for 26. And of course, we love the America West 757. This was one of my favorites as well. You know me, I love my red planes. The Cardinals, Arizona Cardinals, America West 757. You guys remember this one? The Teamwork plane? And I believe there was 2 versions of this plane. And I think this was the first one they came out with. It was a drawing by a child. Ah, we love this one, right? This is the Diamondbacks plane with America West. So-called the Lizard. You've heard me talk about the Lizard many, many times. That was the Diamondbacks plane with America West. Those were all taken off of runway 26. Now, I loved doing nighttime photography as well. Now, some of these shots you can't get anymore there at Sky Harbor. Of course, you got to get the cactus, right? A little nighttime photography. That's a 737-200 waiting takeoff there on the south side. Now, I showed you last week that 747 add-on for Microsoft Flight Simulator. I told you that I grabbed a lot of these shots from a bridge on the east side of Phoenix Sky Harbor. Now, British Airways are bringing their 747 all the time, and that was back when they had the flags on the tail, if you guys remember that. I loved going out there, especially after work, and just setting the camera on the tripod and grabbing these nighttime photography shots. Of course, Sun Country in that, I think, one of their best liveries on a 727-200. Of course, if you hopped up to Terminal 4 parking garage, you could always get some great shots of planes sitting there at the gates. Of course, if you use the bulb feature on your camera, and this is shot on a camera, you just let things come in and out of the shot and create those ghost effects or whatever. Of course, America West also had the state flag liveries as well. This was the Ohio on a 757-200. Look how close I am to the hangar. That was sitting outside the hangar there. You guys remember Mesa? Well, Mesa is still around. How about the Beechcraft Mesa? That was Mesa's official livery back there in the late 90s. Kind of cool livery. Of course, American Express CRJ 200 there next to the Queen, British Airways 747-400, again with those unique tails. One of my favorites, a Delta 727-200 in the widget livery. Boy, Delta had a lot of 727s there at Sky Harbor back in the day. A lot of those flights coming in from Atlanta. I think there was a lot of Cincinnati flights as well. This is the Frontier. When it came back, they were flying on the 737-200s. If you guys remember that. Of course, they've held with their animal tails this whole time. Frontier logos changed throughout the course of the years. Northwest in the bowling shoe livery. DC-10 dash, I think 30 or 40 coming in, usually from Minneapolis there into Sky Harbor. This would have been Terminal 3 on the north side, which now United Airlines occupies. Of course, you know my love for the 737-200. This absolutely is probably one of my favorite shots I ever got. There's not really much going on, but it's just a straight-on shot of the beauty of the 737-200 in the America West older livery. I've always loved that shot. I could look at that shot all day long. The 737-200. Now you know why my love for 737-200s. They were everywhere there at Sky Harbor back in the day. If it wasn't America West, it was Frontier, Southwest. Oh, yes. And of course, one last shot, once again, of the Phoenix Suns, America West. Again, this is a 737-100. A lot of people don't talk about the 100 series. Didn't last very long. I think it was retired at least a year later. And of course, they transferred the Phoenix Suns livery onto a 757-200 with America West, which was nicknamed Barney, but I was able to catch some of the last few months, at least the last year of this Phoenix Suns America West 737-100. Anyway, there's a lot of photos And maybe on another episode, we can delve even more into more of the photos. So as you all know, my love for aviation, a lot of people ask me, Kevin, where did your love for aviation come from? Really, I get that a lot. I have always loved aviation. I've shown you me at the airport as a young child. I officially became a plane spotter there in 1999. But now that technically plane spotter with a camera, still camera. Now hold the phone. When I moved to Arizona in 1993, I would hang out at the airport any chance I got. I was working at Arby's there in Phoenix, Arizona, and if I wasn't working at Arby's or I had to work at Arby's later in the day, I'd always go down to Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport and check out these scenes right here. Listen to those 737-200s. Yeah, baby. Oh, yeah. It's like firecrackers. Oh, of course, the beautiful sunsets. The old livery on an A320. Now, this would have been shot on a VHS camcorder. Not too bad for as dark as it is, right? A 737-300, more than likely heading to LAX. Taken off on 26. Of course, that is the America West hangar that you see there in the distance as well. Remember, this would have been 1993 in Phoenix, Arizona, Sky Harbor Airport. That hangar still there now with American Airlines. It's weird when you go to Phoenix now. Most of the takeoffs happening on the south side. Boy, I'll tell you, the north side was really busy, and I believe this is before the expansion of the south side. For another 737-200. Turn it up! Oh yeah, turn it up. to figure out why Kevin's favorite plane now is the 737-200. I guess that's it. All right. I guess that's it. Boy, down memory lane. See, I could watch that all day long. My gosh. All right. Let's get the music back in here. Need some background music. What do you guys think? What you guys think? So that would have been 1993. 1993. Kevin with a VHS camcorder there at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. Now, I was commenting how busy the north side is. The north side doesn't seem as busy as it did back in that clip. And I think the reason was the extension of this second runway on the south was not there yet. So runway 26 and 8 there on the north side at Phoenix Sky Harbor, a lot busier back there in the 90s before the expansion on the south side. So there you go. 1993 there in Phoenix, Arizona with America West. You know, I had just moved out there from from Michigan to Phoenix, Arizona. Never once before this had I ever seen an America West plane. I'd seen it in the books that I had read about this America West airline. I got out there to Phoenix and I instantly fell in love of the beauty of the fleet. It was a beautiful fleet. I really did love the original livery. I loved the second livery just as much. Now, a lot of people would say, well, now, hold on a second here, Kevin. Let's not fall in love with America West all that much. They were okay, but they had their issues. Of course, they had their issues, along with a lot of airlines back then. But I think there was something about the fleet of America West that just I liked. You know, I loved that they had the 757-200 mixed in with the smaller 737-200s. Of course, they had one of those 737-100s. They had a lot of the A320s. The A319s, which America West was a launch customer for, that happened in 1996, and that's brought in the newer livery. So their fleet consisted, at least when I was there in 1993, the biggest plane they had, 757-200, 737-200, 100 smallest, and then they kind of filled in the gap with the 737-300s and the Airbus A320. So there you go. Now, I shared that a while ago. It's been probably about 2 years since I shared that video. Of course, if you want to take a look at that again, it's actually on our YouTube channel. Just type in America West airline videos, and you should be able to find that video, but I wanted to share it along with you. Ryan with the $2 super chat. Thanks so much. Ryan says, that's my era of aviation. I flew on a 737-100. Boy, oh boy. You know, did it feel it was smaller than the 200, not by much, but I'm sure the interior probably didn't feel much different than the 200. Alvinor 0293 back with a $2 super chat. Thanks so much, Alvinor. Says the U.S. Air Force retired the final DC-10 tanker last week. Yes, they did. And I guess there's some outrage by some plane spotters there in Long Beach that they didn't actually do the flyby that they said that they were going to. So there was a lot of disappointed plane spotters last week on that final KC-10, unfortunately. So such is life, right? Craig Russell with a $5.20 super chat. Thanks so much, Craig. Says, did you ever catch the America West 747-200s in Phoenix? No, I did not. They had two of those. There's some great video on YouTube, by the way. If you type in America West 747, there's some great clips from some of the local news media, as well as some other people that had cameras rolling that day of the inaugural flight to Honolulu. Of course, those 747-200s didn't last very long with America West and almost brought them into bankruptcy along with everything going on in the world with gas prices and everything. So almost brought them down there for a second, but they were able to get rid of them and overcome. But no, I never saw the America West 747-200s, unfortunately. That would have been quite the sight. Ramald with an awesome super chat. Thank you so much, Ramald. Says, hello, Kevin. Best aviation YouTube channel. Congrats on 800,000 followers. Greetings from Oktoberfest in the city of Munich, Germany. Ronnie, I'm jealous of you. Oktoberfest there in Munich. That is one thing I've been meaning to get back to. I've been to Munich, but I want to go there during Oktoberfest, which is technically in September there in Germany. Ronnie, good to see you. Thank you so much. Enjoy the Oktoberfest of what's left of it. I think if it's not already done, I'm sure it's always a blast. Absolutely. Legend Jane, gifting 50 Airline Videos Live memberships. I feel like, Jane, I should take your... No, I was going to say I should take this and drop it, but I'm not going to drop it. Heck, no, it's staying over there. Jane, thank you so much. 50 gifted memberships from our legend, Jane. Amazing support from Jane. Thank you so much, Jane, and thank you again for the amazing gift. Never would I've ever thought that I would have a prop from the movie Bridesmaids in my office, now what we call the AVL Museum. So thank you so much, Shane. Amazing. I love it. All right. What else is going on, you guys? So another clip that I wanted to show you guys. I meant to share this a long time ago. Now, I was talking about the inaugural flights with Northern Pacific. Now it's called New Pacific. They don't even carry passengers anymore. Now it's pretty much charter. We were on that flight. They gave us a lot of access that day, kind of roaming around. Some people not too happy with your plane Jockey Kevin being able to have the access that we did, but we got the access that we did, and we documented history of that day, and still it's one of my favorite BTS videos that we've done. I think there's a great story from beginning to end on that. If you haven't checked it out, it's the BTS inaugural flight of the New Pacific, which they were called back in the day, from Ontario to Vegas. Go check it out. Now, I shot a lot of video that day. Some of it never made the air. So I wanted to show you this clip. And of course, this is a reference. We talk about it all the time. Right? Airplane reference. You know, when they walk in, he walks into the cockpit and he just says, I just want to remind you guys, we're all counting on you. You know that scene? Well, I walked back into the cabin. Well, let me just play it. And hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about.
Hi, back again?
Wish you luck. We're all counting on you.
Yeah. Hey, don't call me Shirley.
Yes, don't call me Shirley.
I'm walking in.
Hi, back again?
Wish you luck. We're all counting on you.
Yeah. Hey, don't call me Shirley.
Yes, don't call me Shirley.
Good sports there with the pilots. Know exactly where I was going at with that. Just randomly walking into the cockpit. Of course, we were still on the ground at that point. We were not in the air. On the ground, and just casually walking in. We're all counting on you. And don't call me Shirley. A great moment. Anyway, I've been meaning to share that with you for the longest time. And I came across that and I said, well, no better time to share it with you guys than on this little relaxed aviation talk with your plane at Jockey Kevin. Well, geez, I feel like I've gotten through everything. Now I need more. Oh my gosh. We're only 40 minutes into the show and Kevin's run out of clips to show with you. So I guess now this turns into a Q&A session, huh? Let's talk about the world of aviation right now. We've talked about this on the show on Sunday. We've talked about this last week. There's a lot of things going on. Of course, we talked about Southwest Airlines making some drastic changes that we've never seen before. We've been talking about the state of low-cost carriers, especially ultra low-cost carriers here in the U.S., struggling right now. Spirit announcing last week that they've got some major cuts happening to some East Coast cities. There's a lot going on. Obviously, we know what's going on with JetBlue. They've been cutting back as well. So what are we going to see when the whole dust settles on this whole thing? Are we going to see less competition, meaning less airlines? Do we see another merger coming up? Certainly with the merger going through with Alaska and Hawaii, and I'm sure some of these airlines are looking like, oh, that went through. All right, let's ramp up and figure out what we need to do. Hold on one second, my headset is falling off of me. You know what I mean? So are we going to see less airlines here in the next couple of years? Are we going to see... I've been talking about it for a long time now. This is just a thought in my head. There's no solid evidence that this is going to happen. Sometimes I just look at situations and I go, is this a match made in heaven? Would it be able to go through? Now, Spirit and JetBlue tried to merge, and there was a lot of issues, and obviously that did not go through. Now, do we see a potential, and I've been talking about this, about Southwest and Spirit potential merge? Would it go through? A lot of you guys say, no, there's no way that the government would allow two airlines like that to merge. Now, I've always said that Southwest, especially with their changes that they're happening right now, if their mindset is changing on how they do business with the new red-eye flights, now being able to choose your own seat, one of the things that Southwest has been known for since the get-go, of course they had a 727-200 or a few of those at the beginning, they've pretty much been set with the 737 as their main aircraft from almost day one. Do we see a change in that? And if we do see a change in that, obviously it would probably be with Airbus. And if you are looking at potentially bringing in Airbus into your fleet, trying to diversify it a little bit, well, Spirit to me is probably the best option because they already have the fleet. A lot of their fleet is brand new. Of course, they have the training facility and they have the pilots. So it would be a great way to bring in a new type of aircraft with an established set or established fleet already. So we'll see what happens. Now, what happens with JetBlue? JetBlue has been pushing back a little bit, cutting back as well. Their mission is to get back to being profitable. Now, will that happen? I don't know. There's been a lot of naysayers that say that's never going to work. Good luck to you. I am pushing for JetBlue. I do love the product. I don't want to see JetBlue disappear. So I'm pulling for JetBlue. I know a lot of you guys, some of you guys in the chat, or at least in some chats that I've seen, have been saying JetBlue and Breeze merging and David Neeleman bringing back control of JetBlue. I don't think that's going to happen. JetBlue and Breeze are two totally different types of airlines. You know, on my interview with David Neeleman back in February, we took a tour of one of his great Airbus A220 planes up there in Utah. You know, I got the sense, you know, he created JetBlue and his love for JetBlue is still there. He told me that day that he still flies JetBlue. He loves JetBlue. It's his baby still after all these years, certainly after everything that happened. But would David Neeleman have it as a mission to merge those two back together? I don't see that happening. It's two totally different styles of management and two totally different airlines, if you ask me. So I don't see that happening. Now, what's going to happen with Frontier? Frontier is kind of on their own frontier at this point. They're expanding and then retracting. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting, very, very interesting, and we'll see what happens here in the next couple of weeks. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen. Jet Breeze, no. No, I don't. It's not going to happen. No, you know, Breeze is actually doing really, really well, and you have a totally different way of thinking in terms of routes and stuff like that. They're doing really well. Brandon says Frontier just throws darts at a map and see what sticks. You know, well, I would love to get their passenger loads on, since they've been back at LAX. You know, they pulled out of LAX a few years ago and went up the 405 freeway up to Burbank. Decided to get out of LAX, and they came back just past spring, and boy, they've added more flights here out of LAX in the last few months. So we're seeing a lot more Frontier flights. I would love to get those load numbers. I'd love to see how they're doing. And of course, we talked about this last week, that Spirit kind of filled the gap of all the cuts with JetBlue as well. So it's interesting that JetBlue, one of the routes they cut, which was one of the most traveled between LAX and SFO, that is, you're going to find more flights to SFO and LAX than any other flight. And JetBlue pulled out of that. And as soon as they pulled out, well, Spirit and Frontier came in and said, well, we'll fill that. So it'd be interesting. JetBlue didn't make it profitable. It'd be interesting to find out if Spirit and Frontier are doing that. So very, very interesting. All right. Here I thought I was going to be able to drag out the video clips a little bit longer. Coming up on an hour. Hopefully you guys are all having a great time here today. I was thinking about doing 2 of these shows a week, possibly Thursday or Friday of this week. Let me know in the chat if you want me back. Maybe you don't want me back here inside the office. Now remember, this is the office. This is not the studio. We're still working on the studio. I got to get Charlie back from Phoenix. It sounds like he's going to be coming mid-October, and we will start working on the studio, which will be a totally different look. This is an office. This is an office. That, like I've said before, this is my area over here. Rudy's area is over here off camera, and of course where I'm sitting is where Charlie's desk is. But I thought it was a great location to kind of show off the office. So this technically is the office. We'll be moving into the studio hopefully very soon. It has a lot of work to do, and of course with your plane Jockey Kevin down by one arm, it's been a challenge for me to do anything. So we'll get there. We'll get there. Of course, we'll be back on the big Sunday show, starting at 10 a.m. Pacific, back there at Imperial Hill. For the big Sunday show, it was a good show last week. Lots of you guys stopping by. Boy, oh boy. Non-stop. Brand ambassador I was that day. Rudy did a great job of running the camera as well. All right. You like the music? Darlene says, how is your shoulder feeling? When are you scheduled to start PT, physical therapy? I'm scheduled to start physical therapy at the end of the month, October 30th. So we've got another 29 days, almost a month before I start physical therapy. And I'll be honest with you, I'm happy that's weeks, if not a month away. Shoulder, it's still raw. It's still raw. I have my moments throughout the course of the day. Certainly when I wake up, overnight is probably the worst into the morning. During the day, when I'm kind of up and you take a shower or whatever, you kind of are doing things. It's not as bad. It's not as bad. Of course, I can't really move it, but in terms of just sitting around and kind of being in pain a little bit, usually overnights, early mornings are the worst. And I think that has a lot to do with just the arm kind of just sitting there, not moving around. So sometimes I have to wake up in the middle of the night and kind of move it around, get it moving. But it's still very raw as we head into the 4th week after surgery. It's going to take a while. Of course, I showed you guys last week the x-rays. As you know, I have a Swiss cheese plate in my arm with a bunch of screws, like 13 screws going every which direction. The humerus bone is still broke, so that has to still heal itself, as well as your body getting used to having all that in there. So it's going to be a long process, but I will say every day I do notice a little bit more ability with the arm. Like I was able to this morning, I was able to tie my shoe As long as I was sitting down, I was able to tie my shoe. I wasn't able to do that last week or the week before. So slowly, little bit by little bit, things are slowly getting better, but it is a slow process. It's not, as I've said before, I've never been through something like this before. This is probably the worst I've ever hurt myself. So it's all news to me. You know, we always have this mindset, especially as me, if, you know, we get sick or, you know, you got a scrape in your hand or cut or whatever, you know, that usually heals within a week or so. And I'm used to seeing something heal that fast, and I have to remind myself that this is a whole different level, Kevin. This is going to take some time, so it ain't going to be healing in a week. Yeah, baby steps in the right direction too, Emily. Thank you so much. Yeah, so, yeah. I mean, it's annoying. I'm not going to lie. I'm completely annoyed by the situation. I am. I mean, I want to be out there at the airport. I want to be running the camera and all that jazz, and I can't. And that's just the reality of it. And but each day I get better and I get closer to being out there, and that's all that matters. So that is the reason why we're doing these mid-shows here in the studio, so I can kind of sit here and talk to you guys and still be relevant and still show my face and still talk to you guys, and we can still talk aviation. If you want the planes, we still got planes for you as well here on AVL in terms of live broadcast. We do have the 24-hour, 7 days a week live broadcast still going on. Two cameras now on that, giving you all the action there on the north side, day and night. So we got planes for you. Here's your plane jockey. And of course, we still have our Sunday show, the big Sunday show, usually at Imperial Hill. Now, we were going to move that to the H Hotel last week, and we said, no, I think it's going to be too hot. Well, we're not going to be moved it this week as well, because this week is going to be just as hot. We're talking like mid to upper 80s, if not 90. I think it's calmed down a little bit. It's not as high as it was, but it's going to be hot on Sunday. So there's going to be no H Hotel on Sunday this week. So it's going to be a little warm on Sunday at Imperial Hill. Trisha Drones, hello there. Says, have you ever thought about putting a moving camera on the 24/7 live feed? I was just going to talk about that. So I had discussions with the H Hotel this week once again. They are open. They're open to allow me to put a camera up there on the 13th floor. Now, what kind of camera that's going to be? It would have to be a moving camera. It certainly would have to be a moving camera. It would not be like the setup that we have right now for the 27 live feed. It would have to be moving. It would have to be able to do a lot of things. And I told you guys, I've been doing my research on these thing called the PTZ cameras. There's a wide range of them, some really high-end. We're talking like as high as $12,000. A lot of them are not as high, probably about $1,000, which is not a big deal. Now, the problem with the range is if you look at the low and the high end, which would tell you is a nicer camera, and it is. The problem with the higher end cameras, those are not meant to be outside in the elements. Those are meant to be inside of a studio or inside a building. It could be coverage of a city council meeting. So those are not meant to be in the elements. And you've got to find a camera that can withstand the elements up there at 13th floor, day in and day out. The sunshine, the rain, all those elements. So you've got to find the correct setup that's going to withstand the elements there on the 13th floor. Now I'm looking, now I get close to something and I'm like, oh, okay, this would work. But then you read the fine details and you find out that, well, this camera's not very good at night. So regular PTZ cameras are kind of used for security cameras and whatnot. A lot of production companies use them for camera person is, well, not if you don't have a camera person, you can just set it up into the ceiling of a building and you can kind of zoom in, like I said, with city council meetings or studios, and you don't have a camera person, you can control it either there in the studio or off the grid. So there's a lot of different options out there, and the H Hotel is open to it. Of course, I'm open to it. I think it's at this point, it's just figuring out what's the right setup, how are we going to install it there and keep it running. So it's going to be a process, but the process is starting, and hopefully we'll have something up there on the 13th floor. I hate to say months, but hopefully it's months, right? So Trisha, yes. The thought process is to have a moving camera. A moving camera indeed. Oops. H. Dot said I had doubts about a 24/7 fixed camera, but I love it. Mods, hats off for the hours you're putting in. Thank you. Yeah, our mods in there all hours of the day. That chat gets rocking and rolling through the course of the night. I'm telling you, I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. You guys are all chatting up a storm there. Even if there's nothing going on, you guys just really like going in there just chatting. But you know, there is something. And I've been a camera person for most of my life, ever since I was a child. You know, it's funny, as a TV news photographer, especially in the National Press Photographers Association, NPPA, National Press Photographers Association, they took pride in photography that told stories. It wasn't about the run and gun type of videography that really is the mainstay in everything that you see nowadays. Back then, it was about locking the camera down on a tripod, getting a good shot. Didn't mean you had to pan or zoom. Actually, they never wanted you to zoom, and they certainly didn't. If you had the pan, you had to have a purpose for the pan. Certainly no zooming, but if you had the pan, there better be a purpose for the pan. But basically, the concept was to when you come into a room and you're shooting a story for the news. This is all for the news. It was more about the story in terms of sound and the characters, and grabbing some really nice shots in terms of creative shots. And the shots, again, were not zooming or panning. You can create a nice shot that's easy on the eyes just by locking things down. And I think maybe that's kind of what we created with the 24/7 live feed that we have currently. It doesn't need to move. It doesn't need to zoom. As long as you have a good shot, that's all you need sometimes. Now, I'm not to say that that's not going to, obviously the H Hotel cam is going to be a totally different setup, but I think what we got right now, you can just sit back, you can relax and just enjoy it. You don't need to be zooming or panning at this point. A lot of you guys are like, well, that's what you think, Kevin. NPPA, no more. I kind of feel bad for that because I was really into NPPA, won a lot of awards. That type of photography nowadays, certainly in news, is just not wanted. I kind of feel bad. You know, they want the run and gun, they want the pan and the zooms and the shakiness and off your shoulder and all that jazz. That just wasn't that way back in the 90s. But styles change, and that sadly doesn't work very well for TV news anymore. Robert Brunn with an awesome $50 super chat. Thanks so much, Robert. Says, Kevin, this too shall soon pass. I certainly hope so, Robert. Thank you. Awesome support. Of course, he's talking about the arm. I think it shall pass. It should pass. It should pass. It shall pass. I just don't have any patience. Don't have any patience. But yes, it too shall pass. Like I was talking the other day, I mean, they're giving me, in the long run, 6 months to recover from after surgery. 6 months, basically. That takes us to, what, March? So springtime? We all know how fast time flies here on the channel. We say that all the time. I've been a member for 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, 3 years. And you all say one thing, right? I can't believe it. Time flies. And time does fly. And by the time I'm completely healed from this, if it does take 6 months, that will be before we know it. And it will be a part of history here on the channel. We can look back years later and say, boy, those are some interesting times. But we made it through. We made it through. And look what happened. Because of Kevin screwing up his arm. Not that I intentionally did it. But Kevin screwed up his arm, and look what happened to the channel. It still found ways to get on the air in terms of the 24/7 live feed. Rudy stepping up, running the channel. I think he's become an even better photographer since then. And of course, the office live streams. These are okay. These are okay. We are eventually going to bring these type of live chats back, but they were going to be in the studio, which is still being worked on. But you got to progress. You gotta go with the flow, right? It's either we got nothing or you got something, right? Just to fill in the gap. Fill in the gap. All right. Do we have any music? All right. Hunter Wilkerson gifting 5 Airline Videos Live memberships. Thank you so much, Hunter. Appreciate that awesome support. Thank you. And of course, if you were just gifted any of the memberships, remember we have the 2 live giveaways every Sunday throughout the course of the day. We had 2 winners this past Sunday. Both of those prizes being sent out yesterday. So congratulations to both our winners. The holidays are coming up. A great way to help support the channel is to purchase our merch as well on shopavl.com. Of course, supporting the channel and getting something in return. The holidays are right around the corner. Today is October 1st. I'm so excited. October 1st, which means AMC Fright Fest officially starts today. Oh boy, I'm going to be watching all those horror flicks on AMC with all of you guys all around the world. I love it. My favorite time of the year, October, November, December, especially October. Boy, October flies by quick. It will be done before we know it. And we'll be talking about Thanksgiving and Christmas. Can you believe that? And then the New Year's will be live from New Year's Eve, high atop the H Hotel again this year. Many guys coming out for that event as well. And then after that, next thing we know, we're going to have our 24-hour live feed in June from high atop the H Hotel. And a lot of you guys will be coming out for that as well. So time certainly does fly here on the channel. So I'm not too down for the fact knowing that this might take 6 months to fully heal. It's going to be a process, especially you guys have been telling me that physical therapy is going to be a nightmare. I'm trying not to think about that at this point because I feel like I have been through a nightmare. The nightmare of eventually dealing with this, the nightmare leading up to the surgery. The surgery, I gotta tell you, was the easiest thing out of everything. But I'm not gonna overly think about what the next chapter is because I feel like I've overcome so much in the last month already that physical therapy to me, yes, it's gonna hurt, but that is my drive to get better and get the arm better and get back to normal is the drive for me to get through physical therapy. So as long as I have that frame of mind, knowing that this is the last step in me to get back to normal, then I'll take some Tylenol and deal with it. But that's the last step. And that will be good to know that I'm well on my way to getting over this. Zulu Romeo 8282 says physical therapy is tough, but well worth it in the end. Yes, I mean there's no doubt about it. I have to do it, and it's gonna hurt. Again, not trying to think about it too much. We've got at least just under a month away from it. There's still a lot of healing time left for this arm. But as I said, every day I do get certain type of mobility back, and so we're on our way. But it's gonna take some time. All right, what else? Oh, here I can show you this. Hopefully I don't drop it. Speaking of Legend Jane, this was one of the latest models that Legend Jane gave to your plane jockey Kevin. It was the Cargo Lux retro livery. Beautiful. It's hanging out over here. Hanging out over here. There's so many models. So many models. A lot of them being gifted from Legend Jane. Thank you so much, Jane. Especially these ANA, Turtle, Hanu liveries sitting right next to me. Thanks, you guys. You guys spoil us. You spoil us. So thank you so much. All right. Well, I got nothing else to share with you guys. Do you have any questions? Hopefully I have some answers for you. And if we do this again later this week, I'm going to try to make an effort to get some more of those photos scanned so I can show you some more of photos I took back there in 1999. There was some photos that I took. So going back to the photos, and I'll just show you some of these real quick. Actually, I'm gonna have to can I rewind that? All right, here we go. So originally, again, these are photos that were taken in 1999. So 1999, I became what you would call a plane spotter with a camera, with a still camera. That was the first time I was actually taking still photos in 1999. Well, we all know what happened years later. 2001, 9/11. Well, being a plane spotter in 9/11, hanging around the airport taking photos, you were just looked upon as suspicious. So I know me, as well as a lot of plane spotters after 9/11, kind of laid down a little bit in terms of not going out and plane spotting. So I kind of moved on a little bit. Kevin's Airline Videos, that website, kind of eventually went away. And then the age of digital cameras started coming out in the early 2000s, 2003. So I didn't get a high-end DSLR because those were still really expensive. Canon's early days of their digital SLR cameras were way too expensive. So I would go with a little lower end digital camera. And so in 2003, I went out and started taking more photos in 2003. So I have some photos from 2003 as well as 1999. So these, again, were taken in 1999. Of course, the Queen, the British Airways 747-400. Back in the day, it would actually, I think, it still was making that trip from London to Phoenix, and then it would go to Phoenix to San Diego, and then come back to Phoenix, and then head back to London. Yeah, I used to love the long exposure night shots. All right. So anyway, I'll share more of those photos. Boy, there's a lot more photos I can share with you guys on our next live broadcast. Craig Russell back with a $5.02 super chat. Thanks so much, Craig. Says, do you have plans this year? Thanksgiving and Christmas stream? Are we doing H Hotel this year or what? So in the years past, Craig, I've been going to Phoenix to hang out with my mom on Thanksgiving. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen again this year. I would hope that I'm a little bit better in November. But at the same time, I will be, I'll be deep in the heart of physical therapy. So I don't know how often I'll have to go. I don't know if that will get in the way of things. I don't know if I'll still be able to operate a camera at that point. It's still kind of up in the air about Thanksgiving. Christmas, I believe believe, what day of the week does Christmas fall on this year? It is a Wednesday. So more than likely we'll have a Christmas Eve on the 24th show and be off on Christmas Day like we did, I think, last year. But again, Craig, that really has a lot to do with how I'm progressing with the arm. It's a ways off, so I can't really plan that far off, but we'll see what we can do. The next fun show, holiday-ish type show, is Halloween. We will have a Halloween show. I will have help that day, so I more than likely will not be running the camera. Rudy will be there running the camera as well, and we'll also have some help as well. So we'll have a lot of fun that day. Rudy has his costume already. I don't think I'm going to be in a costume again this year. If I do, it's going to probably be a shirt like what I'm wearing right now with some pumpkins on it, a button-down shirt. We'll see. We'll see. I got to be working on that here soon. Just looking at the chat here. Looking. Oh, a hard-hitting question from our friend Christina says, Kevin, what are you having for dinner tonight? Probably what I had last night. Apple salad. I try to be healthy. We went to pizza after the Sunday show. Actually, I was feeling good enough to have dinner with everyone on Sunday. I left kind of early, but we had pizza. We had pizza on Sunday. It was pretty good. And but I think I'll stick to the salads. The apple salad from Panera Bread. That seems to be my favorite. It is my favorite. Robert, one of our great moms with the $5 super chat. Thanks so much, Robert. Says Kevin and Rudy, the cockatiel, say hi and get well soon. Tango the peach face says hi too. That's me trying to say hello back to... Yeah, I had a parakeet when I was a kid. His name was Elmer. A blue parakeet. Kind of reminds me of the blue Hanu. He was kind of like blue and white like that. I got him at a store called Meyer. Meyer had fish and birds and hamsters back in the day. And I got a bird, little parakeet, blue, called Elmer. And of course, you try to talk to my grandfather also had a parakeet as well. I think he had a green one. And my grandfather would sit there and try to harass the bird in terms of trying to talk to it. He would whistle to the bird constantly, and the parakeet would whistle back. My Elmer, my bird, didn't seem to appreciate it as much. He usually just turned his back to me and said, "Leave me alone." But the parakeet that my grandfather had loved my grandfather. He would do that whole thing, and boy, the bird would just absolutely love it. Rachel D says, Kevin, thoughts on changing air fleets? It seems now airlines won't be flying the A340 DC or MD-11, 757, 767, 747s, and A380 is on the way out. I think we got bored. I think we'll get bored of the 787, A350, 737, A320, A220, and the 777. Well, you know what, Rachel? You know, the last of those all have one thing in common. 2 engines instead of 4. You know, it all comes down to pennies and the cost of fuel and whatnot. So get used to the double engines instead of the quads, the tri-jets. That's just the way of the future. Now, I've always said, and you guys all think I'm crazy for this, and once in a while I do see articles popping up, and I'm like, see, I know I'm not the only one that thinks this. If they can find a way to put a larger engine, and it would have to be 2 engines on the A380, the A380 could make a comeback. Now, in its original form, it will never come back because of the 4-engine. But if they found a way to make that cost effective, meaning 2 engines, maybe the A380 could be on its way back at some point. But obviously that is years away. But there's always a need for a double-decker aircraft. There always has been. Now, if you guys remember, you have to go back and realize why was there a need for the A380 back in the day, and that was to cram as many seats into one plane as you could to limit gate space at certain airports. I still think that is a need, and I think a lot of people still like to fly in the A380, and they like the whole 2 floors, double decks. I've never been on an A380 personally. I would love to get on one. Of course, the time is counting down. Gerard, one of our great mods, gifting 1 Airline Videos Live membership. Thank you so much. Boy, our mods are working hard at 24/7 live feed. I tell you, for a while there, we didn't really have much in terms of live streams going on. Initially, after I'd screwed up my whole arm, our mods are all like, oh, this is a nice little break. I'm enjoying this. And then bang, Kevin comes with a 24/7 live broadcast. Now, we all know that the mods, if you got nothing to do, pop in, say hello. It's a volunteer thing, so, you come and you go as you please. A lot of our mods enjoy being a mod here on the channel. All right. I always feel like I'm coming down with my conversation and the music ends. Hello. There we go. All right. Reading the chat as well as Allison and one of our great moms, also gifting 1 Airline Videos Live membership. Thank you so much, Allison. How was that pizza and that frappuccino earlier, Allison? Scott says, Kevin, how often do you see LAX turn the airport around and use runway 6 and 7? Have you ever had a show when this happens? Yes, we have had shows. Actually, I've shot lots of video too back in the day. What we call reverse operations or east flow here at LAX. We have a few shows from last year and a few shows from the year before that. Interesting enough, since we've been doing the 24-hour, 7 days a week live broadcast, I haven't seen now the overnight hours, usually between the hours of like 1 and 6 a.m. Usually they use runway 6, well, the 6 left or 6 right for arrivals on the north side, and then they take off on the 25s on the south side. Now, you may ask, why do they do that? To limit noise over the city. So if you got planes arriving on the north side, arriving over the ocean, and then you got takeoffs happening on the south side, taking off over the ocean. Now, of course, things are not as busy overnight, so there's no conflict there. But they have not been doing that since we've been doing the 24/7 live broadcast. Planes are still taking off on the 24s as well as the 25s. So I'm not quite sure what the thought process is going on there. But certainly in the winter months coming up in December, that's when we get the winter storms, which cause the wind direction to change. And when we see the most of the reverse ops here at LAX. So they're coming. RWBJR gifting 1 Airline Videos Live membership. Thank you so much. As well as our friend Scrambled Egg 81 also gifting 1 Airline Videos Live membership. Thanks, you guys. Gary says, I love our mods. They do such an amazing job. They are the friendliest anywhere. Oh, we've hand-selected them throughout the years. Oh, yes. You know, the other great thing about our mods is a lot of them have been here from the beginning of the channel. And we're coming up on, what, 4 years? 4 years in April. So that says a lot as well. I've noticed, and I watch a lot of aviation live streams as well. I've noticed, not on every one, but a lot of them, there's a lot of new mods. A lot of them come and go for whatever reason. I like to say our mods here at AVL tend to stay because they really do enjoy helping the channel grow and keeping the chat nice and friendly. So shout out to our mods here on AVL. Thanks, you guys. Doing a great job. Debbie asking, what do I have to do to receive a gifted membership? Looks like you already have a membership here with the channel, Debbie. Those gifted memberships are gifted out as random. They are from YouTube, so someone can't buy the memberships and say, hey, that's going to be gifted to this person or that person. They're actually just sent out at random through YouTube. And I think it all has to do with how much you are in the chat, how much you engage with the channel. And I think that's what YouTube kind of looks upon to be gifting out the memberships. Jules1 says, flying LAX to JFK, JetBlue, Delta, or American? Well, that's a really good question. It all depends what you want. Now, I tend to like to fly JetBlue to JFK only because I am in love with their Mint suite or their Mint section. Now, some of you guys are like, well, Kevin, that's too expensive. That's not what I'm talking about. Even the regular class on their A321s, which usually go to JFK, are actually really nice as well. The IFEs are really nice. So it all depends. You have the option of the JetBlue Mint on the JFK route. Some of those, you actually have the Mint suites, which are even, well, more expensive, but even more luxurious. Of course, with Delta, you're going to have a 767-300ER. Now, I chose Delta the last time we were going to go to JFK, which was a couple of months ago. We were going to go do a BTS video, which unfortunately never happened because we never got off the ground because of weather there on the East Coast. So I got to experience the Delta Comfort seats there on one of those 767-300ERs for about an hour and a half while I sat there. Eventually never left. But I will say it was a comfortable seat, and I actually did like the interior cabin of that 767-300ER. Yeah, they are a little bit old, but it doesn't feel that old inside of their cabin. So I think my first choice is still JetBlue. Though JetBlue still has some issues with on-time reliability. That is the case. We've experienced it, and some friends, excuse me, have experienced it as well. Delta, I don't know. It's really tough. I would say Delta or JetBlue, certainly fighting against each other for the first choice on that. I would say at this point, American would be my last option. Now, that may change, only for the fact is that American, on their flights from LAX to JFK, their current A321 fleet is going to get a cabin change. Well, the good news is that they're going to actually replace those aircraft that are currently on that route with the new A321 XLRs, which are going to have a new Friendship first class section. And I've seen the photos, and it looks to me like that Friendship first class section on the new A321 XLRs with American look exactly like the JetBlue Mint suites. So I'd say at this point, if you're worried about, if you need to get there on time and a delay, even a slight delay is not something you want to deal with, I would say definitely take Delta. JetBlue, certainly up there. If you want to take the Mint, if you want the first class, remember, a lot less expensive on JetBlue than it is with Delta. Sometimes even twice the amount. So if you want the JetBlue experience, the Mint experience, the food is great on those flights. Sometimes you can get those throne seats on those older A321s, so you don't have anybody sitting next to you. I would choose that as number one. Delta, certainly number two. If you didn't have the option of the Mint suite, maybe go with Delta. But at this point, American would be last on the list only because of what is currently available. Now, that may all change when they get their A321 XLRs. In fact, I think that's going to be a huge upgrade. Huge upgrade. Yolene with a $10 super chat. Thanks so much, Yolene. Says physical therapy is awesome. Don't overdo. A little ice afterwards and do your exercises every day. Consistency is key. You got this, Kevin. Well, no, you're making me feel better. Thank you. Yeah, don't overdo it. You know, it's funny. You know, the surgeon, you know, before I actually had surgery, I was in the sling after I had, you know, done all this. And you know, they wanted to get in there and do the surgery before my arm actually healed up. And they said, well, we don't want to go 3 months later and have to go back in there and basically break it again. I said, well, no, I think that's a good idea. We don't have to wait 3 months. Yeah, we don't want to go back in there and break anything. It's already broke. Go in there and fix it now. So that phone conversation that they had with me leading up to that, they said, well, after the surgery, you're not going to have to wear the sling anymore. And of course, when they said that, of course, what do you think? Oh, I'm not going to be in the sling anymore. I'm going to be good to go, you know, after the surgery. That's the thought in my head. And I think that's why this whole thing has kind of hit me a little bit harder, because I took it as you're going to have the surgery and you're pretty much going to be good to go after that. That's not the case. They said you're not going to have to wear a sling because your arm should be hanging and kind of moving around a little bit. It shouldn't be in a sling for months on end. So I took that the wrong way. Silly me. So I do little movements with my arm every day now to kind of, you know, get the blood moving and get it moving. So I do that every day, but I certainly make sure I don't overdo it as well. Yolene, thank you so much. Appreciate that. There we go again. The music ends just as I end my thought. All right. Just looking at the chat here. Debbie says, Kevin, have you been on that airline that goes to Ireland? Never heard good things about them. No, I've never been on Aer Lingus Shamrock. I know a lot of people actually do fly them because they are cheaper to Europe. You know, that's one question I always ask a lot of people that come to the Hill from Europe. And boy, we have a lot of people that watch us all over the world, especially in Europe. And I always ask them, so how did you get here? Who did you fly on? And it's really surprising. A lot of people that live in Germany actually do not fly Lufthansa. In fact, a lot of them fly Aer Lingus because it's cheaper. The other day, I had met someone from Italy, and I said, well, you must have flew on ITA, right? He said, no, ITA's too expensive. I actually flew on Norse. So, you know, it's always interesting to hear what people are flying to get here to the U.S., especially LAX. It is not the airline that you think that they would actually fly. Global Travel with a $2 super chat. Thanks so much, Global Travel. Says, good afternoon, Kevin. What equipment do you use? Well, we use a lot of equipment. What equipment are you talking about? Well, if you're talking about camera-wise, all of our cameras are Sonys. Yeah, the majority they're all Sonys. There's a couple of different Sonys. We use majority A7 IVs. The camera we're shooting today on is an f30, which is a half sensor. It's not a full sensor like we've been using for the last couple of weeks for this show. And the reason is because now we have too many cameras rolling 24/7, so we have to swap out some other cameras as the main cameras are now working really hard at 24/7 for you. I would assume you're asking about the cameras. Warren asking, what's the longest flight you would want to take or have taken? Well, Warren, you're asking me a question. What's the longest flight you would want to take? I don't want to take a long flight. I don't like long flights. In fact, I've always thrown this question out. I've thrown it out to Rudy as well, saying, if we go to Europe next summer or whenever, is it easier to, let's say, take a nonstop flight, so 11, 12 hours from here at LAX to Europe, let's say Germany? Or is it easier to take a flight from here to New York, Boston, Chicago, get off the plane for a couple hours, and then continue on to Europe? I don't know. I've done that before. When I went to Europe twice, I was living in Phoenix. I took United from Phoenix to Chicago, and then got on the Lufthansa Queen or the A340 600 back in the day. So I did stop over in Chicago. Didn't seem like, I don't know. That's a good question. Do you break it up or do you go for the long trip? Rudy says go for the long thing. I've done it. It's not that bad. Then you don't have to have a layover. I think the longest trip that I've ever taken is Milan, Italy to Newark. I think that's the longest flight. I think that beats Chicago to Frankfurt or Munich. Russell, Gemini Jets, Russell with a $5 super chat. Good to see you, Russell. Says, I just survived 4 days in Asheville, North Carolina in a hotel with no electricity, no water, no cell service, no internet, and no toilets. I saw massive damage and destruction. My gosh, yes. A lot happening there in North Carolina to do with that hurricane, the remnants of that. My gosh. So devastating. Well, Russell, glad to hear you're okay. What an experience it must have been. Russell, good to see you. Hope you're doing okay. RWBJR back gifting another Airline Videos Live membership. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Global Travel back with a $2 super chat. Says, what is the black box near your PC? Oh, this thing? It's called Ed. Ed. Yeah. I'll tell you what it is. You know, there are some channels that don't give you equipment list. Call it the so-called secret sauce. There ain't no secret sauce here. Everything is revealed in our BTS. That is the thing called a YOLO box. YOLO box. And that's what we call our units, Ed. Ed is a thing called a YOLO box. Now, there's different versions of the YOLO box out there. There is the mini, the regular, the extreme. Now they're coming out with, or actually ultra. Now they're coming out with the extreme. It's a great little box if you want to do like little simple little things. On our big Sunday show, the one with the transitions and the top of the hour and all that jazz, that's actually done on a computer like this. on a separate piece of software called OBS. So each unit has its plus and minuses. As you know, we've had our struggles with Ed for the last, I think it's been almost a year since we've had Ed. We have 2 Ed units. The second Ed unit right now is working hard for the 24/7 live feed. You know what? We're going to skip that song. There's a little E next to that. All right. Rudy picked all these songs. He shouldn't have picked any explicit songs, but I think he did. Matthew Breckshot, he's referring to Frontier adding new routes from LAX. Did they recently add more? I know it was like less than a month ago. I'm looking it up. Oh, here we go. All right, so hot off the presses, Frontier Airlines announces 22 new routes across the U.S. launching in December. Frontier is expanding service to and from Boston, Cleveland, Denver, Dallas, Houston, Los Angeles, Orlando, Miami, Chicago, Seattle, Tampa, and more. Okay, I'm looking for the LAX service here. Here we go. Oh, quite a few. New service from Los Angeles International, LAX. Service to Houston, Bush. Service starting on December 17th, 2024. It will be daily. Intro fares at $39. Also adding Portland on December 17th via daily flights. Flights starting at $29. Seattle, Washington, SeaTac, December 17th as well. Daily flights starting at $29. And Salt Lake City, starting on December 17th, 2024. Daily flight as well. Flights starting at $19. Well, I'm looking at those destinations and thinking, good luck on Seattle. And good luck on Portland, as well as Houston. I don't know. That's going to be tough. You know, you look at that, and we already have a lot of airlines already servicing a lot of that as well. I mean, you look at Salt Lake City, Delta already has a lot of flights on that. Seattle and Portland, Alaska has already a lot of flights on that. Houston, already serviced by Spirit and United. So I look at that route like that, and this is the one thing I think just separating Breeze from the others. Breeze is finding service to other airports in other cities that are underserved, and they're being very successful by that. To me, this just looks at like Frontier kind of going in and just trying to be part of the gang in a lot of these different cities. So that's very interesting. We'll see what happens with that. And I was talking about it earlier, and this is before I even knew that they were expanding even more. They expanded, well, they eventually came back and then expanded. So this is their second expansion in the last few months. So that's interesting. That is very interesting. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough, certainly on that Salt Lake, Seattle, and Portland route. Very extremely tough for them. Rolf E. with the $5 super chat. Thanks so much. Rolf says, have you considered trying out JSX flight? Best wishes in your recovery. Thank you so much. You know, I really haven't. Obviously, they fly to Vegas here out of LAX, out of Signature Aviation. I haven't had a need to go to Vegas just yet, but I think if I do fly to Vegas, I might actually try them out. Captain JC, who stopped by the Hill on Sunday, you know, their office, Atlas Air, is out of Signature Aviation as well, and he lives in Vegas, and he said, you know what, I think I might actually go down there and actually try JSX. I said, yeah, go for it. He never had done it before, so I don't know if he actually tried it out or not. I have to follow up with him. But yeah, I'd love to try them out sometime. Craig Russell back with a $5 super chat. Thanks so much, Craig. Says, have you flown first class or business class? If you did, what is your best experience and what airline is the best in the business and first class? We've tried that on many different domestic airlines. I've never flown first class on any international flights. Of course, that's when you really want to fly business class or first class, right? On the international flights. Of course, that costs a lot of money. So as you guys have known, I always try to find a good price for first class when we travel for the shows. Now, there's a lot of expensive first class. I've never flown on Delta One. Never flown on Delta One at this point, partly because it's just too expensive. You're looking at $2,000 to $3,000 for a Delta One flight between here, Atlanta, JFK, whatnot. To me, that's a higher end for domestic travel. You can find, if you're going to JFK, JetBlue Mint, the regular Mint, not the Mint Suite. You can find that for, under $1,000, if not at least half the price of the Delta One. So that's why we usually fly the JetBlue Mint. And I always say I like to fly the business class or first class if you can, as long as the price is right, because of all the equipment that we always carry. It does make a difference when you get 2 checked-in bags. Not only 2 checked-in bags, but they can both be over 50 pounds, which makes a lot of difference when you travel with a lot of equipment. So in terms of having that, getting on the plane first, which is a big deal when you are bringing on a bunch of heavy equipment, you got to make sure you have the overhead space as well. Of course, you can't go wrong with actually eating on the plane. I think and I've always said this, I've traveled a lot. I've traveled the most I've ever traveled is flying economy. I used to fly Southwest all the time. There is a certain nervousness about flying. It's just everything leading up to getting on the plane. Once you actually sit down, you kind of just sit there and you're like, oh, okay, I can breathe now. I truly believe if you can fly first class, that relieves about 60 to 70% of that stress leading up to the flight. It really does. And to me, that is worth it. That is extremely worth it. Now, would I pay $3,000 for a Delta One on a flight to JFK? Probably not. As much as I would love to experience it, I just, at this point, no, not when I can find a JetBlue first class for half that, even under $1,000. So, your question is, what has been the best that we've tried? Hawaiian 787 as well as their A330 first class. It was okay. I felt a little bit cramped on their Dreamliners. The A330 had a lot of room, but there's a lot of things missing on their old A330, including, well, they don't have Wi-Fi on any of their 787s. They're slowly but surely getting them on the A330. I think, still to this day, and Rudy would agree with me, our best experience on any first class, business class, definitely, if you're going between certainly JFK and LAX, the Mint Suite on the A321neo, it's a whole different type of layout. That to me was perfect. I feel like I had enough room. The layout was very nice. I love the A321. So right now, top of the list, JetBlue A321neo with their new Mint Suite, which is totally different than their older A321s. That to me still has the highest level of comfort. And I think that is what American is going to be bringing on in the new Friendship on their A321 XLRs, which will soon be on the LAX to JFK route. So pretty much the same layout. We've done the United Dreamliner to Chicago, back and forth. Of course, we've done the 777 with United as well in first class. Those 777s obviously showing their age. Wasn't a horrible experience. The Dreamliners, I'm telling you, that was very nice as well. Very nice. Of course, you can't go wrong with the Dreamliner windows. Gotta love the windows. Very comfy seat on we flew on a 787-9 and a 787-10. And Rudy and I would both agree that's probably number 2. Really close to number 1, but certainly that JetBlue A321neo, the Mint Suite, number 1. Number 2, United Polaris. If you can find a Dreamliner on a domestic route, you'll get the same experience as you're on an international flight. It's the same layout, same cabin. Now, we've done first class on a 737-800 and 900 with United. Of course, those are just 2 more luxurious seats. They don't recline. There's no seat back entertainment on the 737 on United. Now, we've done the first class on the Delta 737-800, the 900ER. Those seats are okay. Nothing too fancy. It gets a little bit better on their new A321neos, which we've taken from between LAX and Seattle. Those are new, obviously new cabin, new seats. That obviously is an upgrade, but with that being said, on a domestic flight, if you take the Delta A321neo, not to say it's bad, it's decent, but you put that up against an A321neo with JetBlue on their Mint Suite, and it doesn't even compare. It's like apples and oranges. That's a good question there. NRB Photos, friend and Ben with an awesome $20 super chat. Thanks so much, Ben. This is a huge congratulations for 800,000. I'm loving the office talk format. Well, thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben. 800,000. Yeah, I think we're on our way to 801,000. Ben was out there the other day with us as well as at the Hill. Thank you, Ben. Awesome support as always. Kate Kath Media with the super chat. Thanks so much, Kath. Says morning from QLD in Australia. Breakfast time, 6:40 a.m. Well, good morning. What's up for breakfast here today? CKW with a $5 super chat. Thanks so much, CKW. Says plain Jockey Kevin. Enjoyed watching Captain JC visiting the Sunday show. Does he fly for Atlas all the time? Which aircraft he flies more often, the 400 or the 8? I believe he flies the 400 more than he flies the 8, and I don't know if that's by choice. I think he bids on certain flights, and I think he takes whatever he can at this point. I don't think to him it really doesn't matter if he's flying the 400 or the 8. It's just a queen to him. Of course, he said his time is running out. I think he just has over a year left of flying the queen, and then he possibly will start maybe flying corporate jets again. So he'll still fly. And yes, he does fly. He does work for Atlas. That's all he flies at this point. But to him, I think a queen is a queen. I think his love is for the 400. You know, he started with the 200. So, and I think we've asked him before. If it wasn't him, it was another captain. Says that the 8 just is a different aircraft. It just flies differently, and I think a lot of people enjoy flying the 400 more than the 8s, I think, if you ask them. And RWBJR back with the $10 super chat. Appreciate that. Says thank you for all the nice messages regarding membership purchases. Mine was gifted to me, trying to get back as well. The entire AVL family has made me feel welcome throughout. Thoroughly enjoy all of you. Well, we enjoy you as well. Thank you so much for your amazing support of the channel. We are a family here, that is for sure. Someone had mentioned the other day, I think it was a comment, they said that the Sunday show is like a family reunion now. We all get together, all of us together, on Sundays now. Family reunion day. Ronald with Wings with that awesome $50 super chat. Thank you so much, Ronald. Appreciate that awesome support. Thank you. Thanks for everything, Kevin. You are the leader in spotting. Physical therapy is important, but be prepared to work through some pain. How can you put a fanny in a seat for $19 to $29. I got upgraded to top deck on the Queen for nonstop LAX to Sydney. Best ever. Oh, yes, I bet. I don't know. That's a good question. You're talking about those seats on Frontier for that low price. Obviously, it's a little tight. It definitely is a little tight. You know, you pay for what, or you're paying for what you get. And I don't know, you know, I've told you this before, that before Frontier became a ultra low carrier, they were a little bit different. And I showed you a photo of their Frontier. I wonder if I can get it here. I'm gonna have to scroll. There, right there. I had a shot of, oh, I'm gonna have to back up a little bit here. We'll let it go through. Now, when Frontier originally came back to life, I guess it's the next photo after this, they had older 737-200s. I think it's the next shot. There we go. So they had the older 737-200s. They had a lot of those. Now, after that, they made a big order for new Airbus, which was an order for A319s and A318s. A318s they never took delivery of. So they were very excited, and the airline changed a lot after they went to the Airbus. And those A319s were gorgeous on the inside and out. I flew on them many, many times back in the mid-2000s from LAX to, I used to fly into Detroit, and I would connect through Denver. And I liked them because the cabin, to me, especially in the mid-2000s, they were brand new planes, and I just felt like the cabin was very modern. The LED lights, overhead LED lights, just had a very calming, nice effect. They had IFEs, nice IFEs, in-flight entertainments in the back of the seats. Of course, they don't have any of that now. The seats were a little bit tight. The pitch was a little tight. But overall, I had no problem with Frontier. I actually flew them, I think, 3 or 4 times between LAX and Detroit. Never had an issue connecting. And then I kind of just stopped flying there for a while and never went back. And I haven't flown Frontier since, but seeing what their cabins look like now, I just miss the old Frontier days. Boy, those seats were really, really nice. The IFEs back in the day when they first ordered those A319s. Craig Russell back with a $5 super chat. Thanks so much, Craig. Says, if you've seen photos of Singapore Airlines and Etihad Airways A380 private first class suites, they're very nice looking, but they cost a lot. Oh, yes. Of course, a lot of social media influencers have taken their cameras, including our friend Jeb Brooks. I think he and Suzanne, didn't they do the Singapore suite? I'm very jealous. Yes. Yeah. There's even more options out there, that's for sure. All right, I'm just looking at the chat again. All right, well, we're coming up on 2 hours. I think this has been fun. What do you guys think? Has it been fun? 2 hours of nonstop talk. If you're joining us a little bit late, I'll roll this one more time here. I think it's kind of funny. This was a video that I got on the day of the Northern Pacific inaugural flight between Ontario and Vegas. Of course, we had a lot of opportunity to capture a lot going on that day. And of course, could not take the opportunity to walk into the cockpit. Of course, we were on the ground. We were not in the air. And kind of take one of our favorite scenes out of Airplane, right?
Back again?
Wish you luck. We're all counting on you.
Yeah. Hey, don't call me Shirley.
Yes, don't call me Shirley.
Play it one more time for you.
Back again?
Wish you luck. We're all counting on you.
Yeah. Hey, don't call me Shirley.
Yes, don't call
Good sports there, those pilots there. All right. Well, you guys, I think that is going to do this or end today's show here on the aviation talk is what I'm talking about. It's not really a Q&A. Kind of turned into a Q&A. We'll try to do this again later in the week. If we not, we'll be back with you for the big Sunday show. Of course, we have the 24/7 live broadcast going on as well. If you guys can hang out there all day long, I will try. More than likely, I will pop in and do a little play-by-play action on that tomorrow, if not Thursday and Friday. So the next couple of days, I will try to jump in there and give you a little play-by-play action on the 24/7 live feed. And 757 Chip with the $10 super chat. Thanks so much, Chip. Says, Kevin, I've flown international business class on Cathay, American Airlines, and Japan Airlines. I must say the seat on Japan Airlines 777-200LR were the most comfortable, very similar to the Qatar Q Suite in configuration. Boy, the stories you must have at Chip. Chip has done a lot of flying in his days. Chip, here's one for you. I actually popped up my feed. I must be following someone on Facebook that talks or shows about a lot of retro airlines. Someone had shown a photo on Facebook yesterday of a Continental DC-10, and I think it was a 30. It was the first class section of the Continental DC-10. And the seats, the first class seats, nothing too fancy, big and comfy, but nothing too crazy. Of course, this would have been back in the 70s, 80s. The seats look like candy corn. They look like candy corn. They literally look like candy corn in terms of the material. I'm fascinated by that. You know, first class has come a long way, and I think what we've seen in first class now, obviously technology gets better, and I think first class will even get better. But you go back and you look at the first class seats of some of those jumbo jets, the 747, DC-10, and whatever, L-1011, and yeah, the seats look big. Maybe they were comfy. I don't know. That was before my time. Certainly, I never flew first class as a kid. I'd love to get someone's view on what first class was back in the day. To me, it doesn't look as exciting. It doesn't look as comfortable, but I could be totally wrong. Maybe it was all about just the big seat. The big seat, that's all you really needed. Oh yeah, the Continental DC-10 pub lounge as well. Yeah, it's always cool. It's cool when those old photos pop up in my feed. Gotta love it. All right, so I think we're going to end today's broadcast. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in here today. Thank you so much for your awesome support. Legend Jane, thank you again. If you guys weren't here at the top, Jane sent your plane jockey, Kevin. Here's certificate right here. This was in a movie, Bridesmaids, one of my favorite movies. This is to certify that the item Lillian's Maya Rudolph, this was her gift box, has been inspected and is guaranteed to be the original as described for the production of Bridesmaids in 2011. I'm going to do my best. I don't want to drop this thing because I've only got one arm going on here. But I want to show you guys, just in case you weren't here. Jockey Kevin now has Lillian's gift box in a nice secured case. And it's going to stay in the case. And that is now included in the official AVL museum here in Los Angeles. Hollywood at its best. One of my favorite movies. Again, thank you, Jane. I love it. Love it. I love it. It's so cool. So cool. And thank Jane for your awesome support as well. Just want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything here before we take off. Oh! Jeez, I'm glad we didn't. I was just thanking Jane for the gift. I didn't even check this. Jane also sending a $550 super chat through PayPal as well. Says, I'm so glad you like the prop, Kevin. Well, geez, Jane, thank you so much. Yes, I love the prop. I think it's absolutely amazing. In fact, I probably am going to watch that movie again tonight. I can't get enough of it. Jane, thank you so much. Amazing support from Legend Jane. Thank you, Jane. I'm glad I checked it at the end. Jeez. Good job there, Kevin. All right. Yeah, let's see those Legend Jane emojis there in the chat. Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Jane. And thank you all for your awesome support. Thanks for listening to me ramble for just over 2 hours. I think it was a fun-filled 2 hours. Go back and watch the beginning. We shared an update with Southwest and their interior new cabins. Showed you some old photos that I took back in 1999, as well as some video I took at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport in 1993. So a lot of goodies within today's broadcast. All right, if I don't see you later this week, I will see you in the 24/7 live broadcast, doing a little play-by-play. You never know when I'm going to pop in. It usually happens either late morning, early evening, just to kind of give you a heads up if you want to tune in and want to hear the play-by-play. Unfortunately, I can give you a heads up on Twitter. That's the only place, Twitter X is the only place I can give you a heads up that we're about to pop in. Unfortunately, with YouTube, the video is already up, the live stream is already up, so it's hard for people to understand when Kevin's in there. So you literally have to be standing by waiting for me to come in. So I understand if you miss it, but I will do my best to do that here in the next couple of days. If we don't do another Q&A or aviation talk later this week, we also will see you for the big Sunday show at 10 a.m. Pacific back at Imperial Hill on Sunday. Rudy will be back running the camera, and we'll have all a great time later. Oh, Carrie says, will you pop in later? Later today? We'll see. We'll see what happens here. Maybe. Carrie's asking, am I going to be popping into 24/7 later? Now I'm going to go rest the arm, put a little ice on it. It seems to help it a lot, and continue the healing process so we can get back out in the field. I'm itching to get back out in the field. As much as I love sitting here talking to you guys on these Q&A or aviation talk here in the office, I really want to get back out there and give guys live streams in the field. That is my main goal, and we'll get back there. It's going to take some time, but we will certainly get back there. In the meantime, enjoy the 24/7 live camera. That's certainly there for you all to kind of fill in the gap in the meantime. So you guys all have a great rest of your Tuesday. Hopefully you guys had a great time watching the Lions dominate Seattle yesterday and Monday Night Football. That was quite the game. Go Lions. You know, I might have to jump on the Lions bandwagon. Forget the Rams. The Rams who? No, we're going with the Detroit Lions. They were looking good. Of course, I'm from Detroit, so I can jump back on that bandwagon pretty quickly, right? All right. So again, if we don't see it later in the week, I'll see you on the 24/7 live broadcast, and of course, we'll see you on Sunday as well. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in here today. Make sure to go back and watch the replay if you caught it toward the middle or the end. You don't want to miss the first half an hour, 40 minutes of the show. All right. Thanks, you guys, so much. Thanks for great mods. Always doing a great job. And we'll see you guys very soon from all of us here at Airline Videos Live. Good night, everyone.